Alcina, ma quando dormire. Oh, you know what? Bene. Sometimes I don't choose tracks because I just can't remember how to pronounce them. But I will be sensible. Mezzo-soprano Joyce Di Donato, they're performing. Thank you, Kate. So Kate's in, and she's in the hot seat, and she's going to tell us all about some of the fantastic shows she's seen as part of the comedy festival, etc.
I will, and I'll talk about three. One of which is the first of which is finishing tomorrow. And if you like the sound of it, get out there and get a ticket. I just had a contact from a friend of mine in San Francisco saying, I'm writing a play, I need some cliches that theatre critics use. And I said, oh, read my blog, I don't know if I use them. He very politely said, I don't think you do. Anyway, please, write in if I do. No, don't do that. Just read the blog. I will start with Grey Arias, which is at the Malthouse Beckett Theatre until tomorrow, the 16th. It's created by Adrienne Truscott, who's a UK comedian, feminist, a former gymnast, acrobat, etc., and Le Gateau, Chocolat, speaking of accents, who's a UK... they call him a plus-size, gay, black, English-Nigerian, operatic drag diva. He does actually sing baritone in, I thought maybe even bass, in operas, and did so here on one occasion. Whack those two into a blender with Madama Butterfly and you get Grey Arias. That's really the nub of it. So you do get some grabs of him singing some Madame Butterfly arias because he's always wanted to do so, which of course is bizarre and hilarious. They're, between them, Gateau and Truscott, are magnetic and charismatic in totally different ways, and their on-stage personae and differing performance styles collide and complement each other, and it brings us to a sort of astounding and bizarre duo. They're friends. They know each other. They're both award-winning artistes in their own right. They walk a fine line between provocative and offensive, I would say, so be prepared if you go and see it. And audiences that don't know their work may feel affronted or shocked or maybe just confused. The content's confrontational, it's transgressive, but it's also insightful. And the performance style, strangely, is both casual and chaotic and, paradoxically, finely tuned and complex, which I find an extraordinary feat, really. And there's another show like that, Moby Dick, the Lano Woodley is a bit like that too, controlled chaos. So you get the glorious music and questionable narrative of Madame Butterfly, and it's threaded through the Grey Arias, Puccini's score, but also the references to Cho-Cho Sam being a 15-year-old rape victim. So there's a lot of that sort of referencing in there. They set traps for each other about casual racism and various other issues that are in the news, in the zeitgeist at the moment. Wokeness, I suppose, with a capital W. But it is really fun. Seeing him in a kimono and wild wig and singing the arias is pretty hilarious. And Truscott gets to sing Tomorrow for Manny, which is her childhood dream. He tries to stop her the whole way through. I'll say no more about it, but it is brazen, audacious and mischievous, and I would say it's well worth seeing.
When's it on till?
It's on until tomorrow only.
Oh,
so
okay.
The 16th. It's a matinee tomorrow and something tonight. I want to talk about Moby Dick by Lano Woodley. Two wacko comedians that I've known for decades who are doing the entire Moby Dick story alone. If you don't know Lano Woodley, Colin Lane is sort of the straight man in the duo, sort of, and Frank Woodley is the wacky, daffy loony. Think Laurel and Hardy or Abbott and Costello, that sort of thing. They broke up for a while, came back together again. They've done 30 years on and off together. So it's equal parts uproarious and really clever. They've got extraordinary comedic chemistry and talent, and it's really worth seeing if you love their work. It's on till the 22nd of April, end of the Comedy Festival. So it starts with a very long sea shanty that they've written with Frank on guitar and Colin on tin whistle, which, at various moments works and doesn't work, as a tin whistle is wont to do. It hilariously tells the entire story of Herman Melville's Moby Dick, start to finish, and they admit when they finish that they've just ruined the entire show because they've told the whole story, including all the sort of darkness and who dies in the end, except for the the latecomers who file into the front row and become sort of the butt of this joke, because they're the only ones it won't be ruined for. They didn't hear the entire story. But they really have a go at these latecomers, and they were all sitting in the front rows. It was very funny. Comedic mayhem ensues. So it's chaotic, it's hilarious slapstick, and their inimitable, so idiosyncratic style combines sharp theatrical elements and music and also scrappy physical comedy. So Colin is trying to narrate the entire story and doing a serious delivery of Moby Dick. But Frank just continues to sabotage everything, not intentionally, from our perspective. We know he is as a performer. Every mischievous antic is just interfering with Colin's wonderful sort of serious narration. Lots of atmospheric moments, which are terrific. Frank bursts into a sort of minutes of an attack of the limericks, I'd call it. One of the characters comes from Nantucket, so think of the rhyme for Nantucket, and you keep expecting that to come. Finally does, but he does minutes of all sorts of rhyming dialogue that's limerick-ridden. There are one lovely moment is Colin singing It Ain't Necessarily So, but he samples his own voice for the backing. It is really terrific. I really enjoyed it. So I would suggest if you like Lano and Woodley or you like a bit of slapstick or even Moby Dick, don't expect Moby Dick. So let's get on to my last one, which is Damian Callinan in Double Feature, a solo show, brand new one. And it's probably a 3-star, which I really enjoyed. I thought it was lovely. It's a love letter to his late mother, Kathleen Purcell. That's my name too, Kathleen. And he talks about her, he reads her diaries, little bits from his dad's diaries as well. But that's the conceit. He's making a film about his mum's life and mum's diaries. We see little snatches of this black and white film. But he says he couldn't finish it because, of course, they ran out of money. Government money dried up. So we're workshopping this idea. He's in old Dad's like Fletcher Jones high-waisted pants. My dad used to wear them, but with braces. And he reads his mum's just post-war diaries, and he traces Kathleen's life going to the double feature movies, hence the title, going to dances, and all these various beaux and suitors who are appearing. He's going, Flash, Fancy Jack and Nice Jack and the Polish Count, all these names, and he sets up a bookies board with the Kathleen Stakes, and all the suitors are named like runners in a race. And the final one, Flyboy, his odds shorten significantly by the end, and so you figure out who he might be. The odds are all just arbitrary reactions to how they behaved, whether Kathleen liked them or not, and whether they gave her gifts or tried to kiss her. But he asks at the beginning, who grew up Catholic, who's from the northern suburbs, various hands go up, who recognises what happens in the Mass. Someone he passes an altar boy bell, a little tiny bell. Someone has to ring the bell every time there's a Catholic reference, and we all go, oh, bell. It is fun, particularly if you've got that background or know the northern suburbs. So it's playful and warm and engaging banter, and it becomes a bit darker when suddenly the story changes and there's grief in this. And you don't know I didn't know if he was going to be able to haul us back into the light, but he did. On the other side of grief is laughter, is something that he says. So that's going until the 23rd, and I think it's charming.
Thanks very much, Kate.
Hi, this is Merlin Quaith. Melbourne's musical artists are one of our great cultural resources, and 3MBS is an important part of Melbourne's music community. The amazing facility in Abbotsford is a powerful resource for us to